Okay, welcome to the American Evolution part number 7, the Judiciary and then the final Constitution. The Judiciary branch, like the Senate, is also an aristocracy, right? They are appointed by the executive, right, with the consent of the Senate. So you have members of the Supreme Court, as it's going to come to be called, is going to be appointed by the President of the United States, but with the consent of the United States Senate, right? This creates an independent judiciary, though. It's separate from the rest of the other two branches, right? Remember, it's all part of this checks and balances thing. Democratic? Not at all, right? You don't. The individual has no say on the selection of members of the judiciary, and they are lifetime appointments, lifetime terms. Once you're in there until you retire or die, right? Whichever comes first, right? Now, one of the things that's often not understood about the judiciary branch is that in the initial Constitution, the focal point of the judiciary branch was to be directed at the individual states. We always think about things in terms of judicial review, right? Determining constitutionality of law. The Constitution of the United States says nothing on who determines constitutionality of law. Nothing at all. Matter of fact, that will be determined later in a famous court case called Marbury versus Madison, right? The assumption was that you have a bicameral legislature that serves as a checks and balance against itself, an executive with a limited negative, with a veto, so you don't need to determine constitutionality because there should be enough little double checks there to keep that from happening. And that's probably true if there's no political parties, right? But that's something for a later time. The judiciary is initially directed at the states, right? This can be seen on Article 4, Section 2 of the Constitution, which states, "The constitutions and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made of which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land." That's Article 6, Section 2 of the Constitution. That is the supremacy clause of the Constitution, and that is directed at the states. Remember, I said that we're going to have horizontal checks and balances, but we have to have the vertical checks and balances as well. The supremacy clause gives that vertical checks and balance between the federal government and the individual states. Now, the document itself is full of many, many checks and balances, right? Each branch has the ability to limit the power of another. For example, the president is in command of the military. He's the commander-in-chief of the military. But the House of Representatives controls military spending, and only Congress being both the House and the Senate, only Congress can declare war, right? The president of the United States cannot declare war. The president can make judicial appointments, but he has to do so with the consent of the Senate. Therefore, the Senate has the power to override these judicial appointments. Congress can make laws, but the president can veto the law. But then, as I said before, a veto can be overturned with a 2/3 majority. All this is designed to try and keep one of these branches from becoming too powerful, right? That's the last thing they want, is one of them to become too powerful, right? Now, finally, this is a living document, right? The Constitution of the United States is designed to be malleable. Article 5 of the Constitution establishes what's known as the amendment process. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to the Constitution when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states. Okay, we can change the Constitution, but it requires a 2/3 vote in both the House and the Senate. Then it's submitted out to the states, and 3/4 of all the states have to approve of that amendment before it is ratified, right? So not quite like the Articles where it had to be unanimous. You know, making it unanimous makes it impossible to modify. This isn't impossible, but it's not meant to be easy either. And in fact, we've only changed the Constitution 27 times in our 200+ year history with it.